I read a quote by Dr. Bruce Lipton, the biologist and the best-selling author. And it truly resonated with me for what's going on in life today, at the need for all of us to wake up to a new way of living. He said, we are deeply involved right now, right here, right now, in a major evolutionary process. He said, we have to change the way we're living. And most importantly, we have to change the way we're responding to each other. I had to think, why is it we're so afraid to listen to other people, to other people's opinions, to other people's ideas? Why are we so afraid? You know, we're these beautiful, unique, individualized expressions of this one power. We're made of the same stuff, but we're not meant to be alike. We're designed to be different. What do we have to change in order for us to start living more cooperatively and lovingly together? Well, I'll tell you what, I went to my favorite 13th century mystic friend, Rumi, and I thought, gosh, why don't we meet in that field he talks about? When he says, there is a place beyond right doing and wrong doing. It is a field, and I will meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. That's truly when we understand our oneness with all life. What we do to ourselves, we do to everyone, and we do to someone else, we do to ourselves. But it didn't stop with my buddy Rumi. Century later, 14th century Sufi mystic Hafez said, I have learned so much from God. Now we're talking about today the power's on, and of course there's only one power, and that power is God, and that's all there is. God made everything, is everything. That's the only power there is. So when Hafez says, I have learned so much from God, it's his awakening to understanding. I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. I have learned so much from God. I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel, even pure soul. The truth has shared so much of itself with me, and love has befriended me so completely that it has turned to ash and totally freed me of any concept or image I have ever known. And that's what we're talking about revolutionizing our inward consciousness. If we know that there's only one, and that's a main tenet of our teaching, there's only one power that we all use, we're all created from, and this power in its fullness, when it is totally turned on, this power is love. And it means the self-givingness, the love of spirit, that's given equally to everyone alike. It's not that some people have more power than others. Some just use it more fully. So God is love. And then there's also a law that works, which is mechanical and automatic, a principle, which is like the law of cause and effect, the principle of reciprocity, the laws that guide us in our daily living, the principles we use to create. Just look at our life and see what we're creating, because we have the power to create our lives anew every moment. You and I right now, I know this in the depth of my being, have the power to create a new future. We have the power right now to create things anew. There's solutions to everything everywhere. Kirk and I were watching last night a show on Netflix. You know, it seems like the conversations right now are the coronavirus or what are you watching on Netflix? Like what we talk about with people. But anyway, this is a great show, and it's called Down to Earth with Zac Efron. And it's about living healthy and sustainably. And he travels around the world with one of his friends who's a health and sustainability expert. And this is about Iceland. The continent of Iceland, and what they're doing with their natural resources, the power of the earth, the water, the wind, the geothermal energy under the earth's crust, to live in almost complete sustainability. And what they're doing, It's amazing how they're utilizing everything. And the power is there for us to use in different ways in different places, but it's there for all of us to use. We have to just turn on our creative thinking. Now, if we think about the power and how we plug in, well, the plugging into the power for good, because you're plugged in two ways. If you feel the unity with life, and you feel like you're coming from love. Because those are the two requirements to know that you're totally plugged in for this power of God, the power for good, is that you feel it in your body and your mind. And so when we're plugged in, we're living from that way and that concept, because we can create constantly. But since we're individualized and we've been given free will, we have to discover this power for ourselves. It's always there. It's never not there. But we can choose not to use it because we're pretty much governed by our thought patterns. And I think Griselda was mentioning this in her beautiful reading this morning. Our thought patterns. And if we choose to live in the past, in the future, or if we choose not to grow and change, because a lot of our thought patterns, it's not one fleeting thought. It's the accumulation of our thoughts. It isn't ours. We didn't create it. It comes from the ages before us. It's called the collective consciousness. And it holds prejudice, racism, insecurity, lack, limitation. It holds a lot of negativity from the past, and we've carried it into our lives, and we have not yet changed it. But we have the power to change anything. Think where you feel it's like a wall of negativity, like a dam. Here's this flow of goodness, this flow of God, this power for good, the power of creativity that wants to come into each life because it's given to us, and we build this wall of negativity. We don't accept that power. It's like Rumi says, why do we stay in prison when the door is wide open? It's open now. We can walk through it. We can accept the goodness that's already there. But it happens through our inner conviction, our inner knowing, by changing our thought process to lift our consciousness, raise our vibration to a consciousness of spirit. Everything visible has an invisible cause. And so there's something more going on. We can create from the invisible level. We have to use, I think our greatest power is our spiritual power and our spiritual thoughts. When we realize, wow, with God, with good, with love, with light, all things are possible. As I said, this creative energy that created everything doesn't know the difference between big and little, because everything is a creation and it's all good. And we get to choose right now if we're going to use that goodness to turn our power on. We might be a little shaky when we're plugging in, but when we plug in, we recognize and know that we are co-creators with Spirit, co-creators with God. The light just turned on. The light's been off, but it just turned on. The power is on right now. Wow, that was pretty cool right this minute. The power just turned on. We were trying to bounce around the lights this morning because the center track went off and it just went on. See, we have to make a demand of life. Life is here for us, but if we don't claim the power's on, then we can just live in the darkness. It's a pretty interesting thought. So let's say we work on our inner consciousness. We start leveling up, where we look at our life and realize that we are planting the seeds of things that grow in our life for manifestation. Jesus had the parable of the sower and the seed. And this is very much, we talk about this a lot in our accredited classes, how the science of mind works. Our thoughts are like little capsules of creative energy, and we're creating all the time. And the creative mind, both our individual creative mind and the creative mind of life, is like the soil. And we plant the seeds in the soil of the creative mind, and they grow. When Jesus was explaining this in his parable, he said the man wanted to plant some grain. And he wanted to sow the grain. And some grain fell on the path, and the birds ate it. And some grain fell on the rocky ground where there was just a little bit of soil. And even if those little sprouts came up, the sun would burn them immediately. And some of the seeds fell into the thorn bushes. And of course, the thorn bushes choked out any kind of new plant that started to grow. But the seeds that fell in the good soil, the open mind, the affirmative mind, the available mind, the seed thoughts that fell in that soil grew and produced corn. And that's the same with us. When we do our spiritual work, do our prayer work, our affirmation, our spiritual reading, our contemplation, like I said, taking a forest bath, really getting balanced in body, mind, and spirit, then we become the fertile soil for goodness to grow. And when we change our inner consciousness, our spiritual consciousness, which is an inward awareness, it produces inspired action. So I'm going to give you a little test to see how spiritually attuned, how plugged in you are right now. How is your power of discernment? How good are you at knowing what is right here and now? You're discerning what is good to do, what is the positive thing to do, what is right to do. How is your power of healing? Are you allowing life to be healed within you, in your body, in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit? Because once we heal in us, we can heal others in the same way. And how's your power of reverence? Do you come to life living with a sense of awe? Or do you need to up-level any of those things? And are you aware of the power of manifestation, what you're manifesting in your outer experience? Because we have to start utilizing this. It's not good enough just to plug into Spirit. We have to use it and know we are co-creators with Spirit. We are co-creators with God. When we plug in, we're not creating ourselves. We're using a creative power that's available everywhere. It's a power we use. And how well are we using it right now? As I said in the beginning, we have to really learn how to live differently and to respond to ourselves and others differently. There's a power of forgiveness, a power of understanding, learning how to live in this world in cooperation, without being resisting this process of life, but understanding we're in this together right here and right now. There's no getting out of this. So I'm going to invite you in this moment just to join me. Just put your feet on the ground. Wish we were barefoot, like I said. Put your feet on the ground and feel the power of the earth as it's coming up through our body, as this power is coming up through us. And we open our mind that we can be connected to the power of good, the power of God, the power of life, and the beautiful energy of the earth, and bring it up within us to this center of our being, the center of our being, which is the place where our divine essence, our divine presence is. And we can recognize in this moment that the power we have through the power of our word, as Moses said, the power of the word is not far away. It's in your own mouth. It's the words we speak, the care we take to speak the truth, to ask for what is good and right and true for ourselves and everyone in our own lives. Just know that Jesus too spoke these same words, that the power we have is the power in our own mouth, the words we speak. And he said, the things I do, you can do also if you learn how. So let's take this moment and just set the intention that there's a power for good that's going before us, a power for life that's going before us, right here and right now, that's opening the pathway of light and goodness and healing and possibility and creativity right here in this moment. And that as we step on this path of good, we choose to approach life with a kind heart, with open ears, with a mouth that speaks words of truth and sees divinity in all things. That is in this moment that we choose to have the courage to be fully alive and live on this path where the power's on that guides us in creativity and goodness, and knowing it is together we can change the world for good. And as we breathe into that and just release that and know right now as we've set that intention that today all the goodness we have let out, all the goodness that we've put forth is coming back to us tenfold. We feel empowered and strengthened. We feel like we make a difference and we matter. Just breathe that in and let that go, just saying, and so it is, knowing it's already done. And the truth I know in this moment is together we can create miracles and make beautiful things happen. I know this is a time where we have to work a little bit harder, maybe a lot harder, to get in balance and in alignment with all that is good and right and true. But we can do it. I know every day we can take time to align with this power and to approach the world as a co-creator of love, to feel our unity with all, and choose to be the ones that lead the way. Remember, Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, be aligned with goodness, and we will change not only our life, but the life of this world. I'm blessed to be on this journey with each and every one of you, and I know that together we make miracles happen. God bless you all. Treat each other well.